Ouch. I'm gonna talk to you guys about some things I've done in my past about money that definitely was learning experiences. I kind of want to talk to you guys just candidly. I didn't script this video out. We're gonna just talk about some things that I have learned along my money journey. I don't think I was always necessarily perfect. I'm still not. So I want to get into these things. Let me know if you guys share any of these terrible money habits, because I definitely want to hear from you. All right, so let's get into all that and more. It's Crystal with the Cash Compass. All right, welcome back. I am here to teach you all the things that you should have learned in school about money, but for whatever reason, they forgot to mention it. If you love all things personal finance, investing, and economics, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button, okay? It's right down there. It's somewhere. Look for it, find it, hit the bell, all right? Because we talk about all of that stuff and more. Let's get into it. So I used to have a crazy addiction with buying clothes, okay? When I was in college, I had a couple of roommates, and my roommate would be like, "Oh, Crystal, like, you're always ordering stuff." Yes, ma'am. You in my business?
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. You in my business? Yeah, don't do that. Anywho.
But you know what? She had a point. I was ordering stuff all the time, and it wasn't even like good quality stuff. I would order, no disrespect, but I would order from like Boohoo, Fashion Nova. I used to always order very trendy clothes, and I was cute with it. Let's never get that twisted. But those clothes are terrible quality. The minute I washed them, they would turn to shreds, and it honestly would be a huge waste of time for everybody involved, okay? So now I do still like trendy clothes, but I just buy from websites that I think have better quality, and I also don't buy that often. I think I've kind of adopted a minimalist kind of mentality, not fully, because some people overdo it, I'm not gonna lie to you, and they have like 2 pieces of clothes. That's not gonna be me. It's just not. I don't overdo it, okay? If I open my closet right now, it's going to be nice, it's clean, it's organized. Like, I've definitely learned from that, because you're buying clothes that are terrible quality. You have to end up throwing them away and replacing them. So, you know, now I try to really look for better quality clothes, things that are not going to evaporate in the washing machine and then burn to a crisp in the dryer, right? Like, I want to make sure that I have clothes that make sense. I also, actually, on the topic of dryers, I don't really dry my clothes. I feel like the dryer be messing up my clothes. I don't know. Let me know if you guys agree with that. But every time I put my clothes in the dryer, it shrinks or something dramatic happens. So now I have like a rack in my room. I just throw it on the rack and I call it a day. So I save electricity and I save my clothes, and I'm just saving. Another thing, which I talked about in this video up here, I'm gonna link it, is loaning money. Oh my God. Okay, first of all, and I'm still pretty open and honest and candid about how much money I make. But when I first came out of college, you know, no kids, I was making $50,000, which was a lot of money for like a 22-year-old or whatever, right? So I, of course, was excited about that. So I told all my family, like, and all my friends, like, hey, I'm making $50K. I got this job before I even graduated college. You know, I was flexing. And anytime you tell somebody about your pockets, they start to pocket watch, and all of a sudden you hear all the sob stories, okay? So in my opinion, it turned from helping to enabling, unfortunately. I mean, people would ask me for crazy amounts of money, okay? And unfortunately, I learned the hard way, because I used to give my credit card number out to people who, you know, they needed the help. But that was a very expensive lesson, because my card was charged all the way up and it was not paid down, okay? So it was up to me to pay that, because of course they forget it's next week, next month. And I mean, that was literally going on. I was chasing these people down, or this person in particular down, for months. And then I was like, you know what? Take the L. Just take the L. You're going to pay for it. It sucks. It's horrible, but it is what it is. So unfortunately, you know, your nicest can be taken for granted. People can take advantage of you and what you have, and they think because you, quote unquote, got it, then they can kind of string you along and never pay you back. And, you know, I try to avoid loaning money to people who I really care about, because money is such a sensitive topic. And if someone owes you money and they don't pay back, that can get kind of ugly, you know? And so I try not to mix personal relationships with money, which I consider business. So I try not to mix personal and business, because I value all my relationships, and I don't want it to get sour because you ran up my credit card. Saving money, and I've talked about this a lot, but saving money is something that I was super happy about. I prided myself in saving money a lot, but I realized that it was actually kind of like a fear thing, you know. I didn't really want to invest because I felt like it was too risky, but saving your money is too risky, okay? Because we have inflation, we have the Federal Reserve printing money out of control. That's going to happen for the foreseeable future. So when you're pretty much investing in a dying asset, because whether or not you know it, having a savings is a position, right? You are investing. You are basically having full faith in the US dollar, which to me, in my opinion, is a bad idea. So if all your savings is in like a regular, maybe a savings account or a CD, you should definitely consider not having it that way. You definitely should consider having other assets, whether it's going to be intangibles like stocks or bonds or cryptocurrencies, or it's going to be physical like real estate and precious metals, the physical ones, ones that you actually take delivery of. You can consider diversifying. Like, I think that's a word that people always kind of throw around in the personal finance space, but it's so important. Like, oh my goodness, I remember I was kind of nervous, and I still struggle with this, okay? Because I was nervous to invest in Bitcoin because, in my opinion, it's an intangible asset. I don't know who created it. Allegedly, no one knows who created it, and I don't know what's going to happen to my money. Like, okay, for example, you see in Texas, what if all we had was Bitcoin, okay? And then you get some weird freak of nature cold front, right? And it starts having a blizzard in Texas, and their power is going in and out. What if all I had was Bitcoin? I would be out of luck, right? Because the power was down. So with that in mind, I think that diversification is super important. If I were to invest in Bitcoin, like when I first discussed it in my in like one of my previous YouTube videos, I would be making bank right now, okay? So I'm still a little bit risk adverse. I'm still a little apprehensive. I'm not really big on jumping on trends and things that are like all like, you know, on the rage. Like, I'm more of a calculated person. But sometimes it wouldn't hurt to just put a small position in there, you know? Like, I didn't have to buy a whole entire Bitcoin. I could have just put like $1,000 in there, and I would have been sitting real pretty right now, you know? So kind of being a little bit too risk adverse and listening to those old rhetorics of save up your money. Like, nah, saving your money is going to screw you. You definitely want to invest that money all the time. Ooh, running up my credit cards. Running up my credit cards is something that I definitely paid for. I think I mentioned this before actually in one of these other videos, but I had quit my job to really focus on my CPA exam, except that I wasn't only focusing on my CPA exam, I was just enjoying not working, because I started working, like, I think I was 17 or 18 when I got my first job, and ever since then, I literally never stopped working. So that was my first time, like, not having a job for, like, a few months. So I was just vacationing, I was living my best life, and I ran my credit card the F up, okay? Carried a balance and all of that, and that's terrible. Don't run up your credit card on vacations. Don't run up your credit card, period. Like, if you could just pay off your credit card all the time, definitely do that. I did not do that, and I was paying that bad boy back for a very long time because I just didn't have I didn't have the discipline. Another thing that I used to do, which was terrible, is I used to spend before I got, okay? So it's like, if I knew I had some money coming in, I would just be like, all right, whatever, I'm going to spend this. It doesn't matter. Except what would happen is that maybe I overestimated how much money I was going to get. Like, let's say I was going to get a bonus or something like that. Or let's say, like, I thought I calculated how much money I was going to be making because I used to be hourly, you know, when I was in college. So I would kind of overestimate that, and I would just spend, and then I'd be like, shoot, now I got to carry a balance on my credit card and all of that. So definitely don't spend before you make. That's a bad idea too. But by far the worst mistake I made that I definitely do not make now is I didn't take matters into my own hands. You know, like I mentioned literally every single video, they do not teach us money in schools, okay? You kind of hear money advice, I don't know, from people. You just, like, walking through life, you just kind of hear bits and pieces of financial advice. But I think a lot of my youth, I didn't spend really questioning it. And now I question everything, okay? Like, now I literally don't believe anything. Like, I hear, like, you know, they say what do they say? Believe none of what you heard and half of what you saw, right? Like, that's how I am right now. I definitely have adopted that mentality. They told me, get a good job, go to college, and then you can get a degree, which worked for me. I'm not saying it don't work. But I didn't really look into that. Like, thankfully, that's the path that I would have probably chose regardless, because I enjoy accounting kind of, and you know, it's nice or whatever. But don't take things at face value. They also told me, get a 401k. That's a straight up setup, okay? Because no matter what, Wall Street gets paid, and you can literally devour up my whole retirement because of no, like literally no reason, right? I didn't understand it too well, but I just heard, oh, employee matching, oh, 401k, like, yeah, okay. But they penalize you too much, they charge you too much, they have a lot of hidden fees. So those are things that I think I would have wanted to research before just jumping in head first and then realizing, oh man, I gotta spend all this money just to get my money back out. Like, why are you charging me a penalty? If I want to be going through all my retirement funds, let me do that in peace. Another thing that I didn't necessarily make this mistake, but it's something that I think people do make mistakes often. I didn't really have this option, but like, stay with your parents as long as they'll let you, right? There's a huge difference between being a bum at your parents' house and having financial goals at your parents' house, right? So unfortunately for me, when I graduated high school, it was like we were in the depths of the recession. Neither of my parents could just kind of like take care of me. It was kind of like, you got to go to college and you got to do that now. So, you know, that was my story. But if I can prevent that for my daughter, I definitely will. If she wants to stay at my house and maybe pay a bill or two, right? You ain't gonna just be sitting here chilling for no reason. You still have to learn some type of responsibility, right? And if you are staying at your parents' house and you do have money, you should offer to pay something. But you know, really help them, because rent is expensive, okay? And it's very hard out here. And if you can make it easier for yourself, then do so. Living with your parents can be extremely annoying. I know. But if that means you're not going to be out here paying $1,600 rent, maybe even $2,000 rent, depending on where you're at, you can save the $2,000 up. And that could get you a nice little nest egg. You can invest. You can buy a car. You can buy a house. I mean, so much things can happen if you just look past that. Like, a lot of people don't want to do that because they want to be comfortable. But sometimes you got to be uncomfortable, okay? If I could go live with somebody right now and pay half their rent, I would do that. I don't have that opportunity right now, unfortunately. But I think it's super financially irresponsible to pay more than you have to. If you could be uncomfortable for just 1 year but get yourself out of debt, then go move back in your parents' house. Who cares how old you are? Go do that, because it's going to save you money. If you can have a roommate, a sister, anything that helps you break down these expenses and get out of debt, I definitely recommend doing that, because I had kind of an opportunity to do that when I first got out of college. My friend's mother let me stay at her house, and I only paid $400 in rent. And that's what I used that time. I used that time to aggressively pay down my credit cards. Like I mentioned, I told you I got burned real bad between my careless spending and also other people's spending on my credit cards. So I used that opportunity to pay it down. And I wish I had that opportunity again, because I could be hoarding cash and really putting it into assets, okay? But that's all I have. Let me know if you guys have any stories or any maybe lessons you learned the hard way because money wasn't really taught. All right, talk to me, because I want to hear from you. But that will do it. If you like this video, please like this video and be sure to share it with everybody, okay? And if you have anything else going on, you know what to do. Go ahead and binge watch me. And until next time, keep your money up.